Some medical mysteries begin not with dramatic pain or debilitating weakness, but with something so subtle, so easily dismissed, that most people would simply ignore it. These are the kinds of mysteries that can take years to unravel, leaving a trail of frustration and confusion in their wake. This is the story of Tom, a 60-year-old businessman, a pillar of his community, a man who prided himself on his sharp senses and attention to detail, who noticed something strange, something that would ultimately change his life forever. It wasn't a sudden, catastrophic event. It wasn't a fall, a seizure, or a stroke. It was something far more insidious. One seemingly ordinary morning, as he reached for his usual cup of coffee, the aroma that usually filled the kitchen, the rich, inviting scent that signaled the start of his day, simply wasn't there. His coffee didn't smell like anything. That simple, almost insignificant moment would become the first clue, the initial breadcrumb, in a much deeper and far more dangerous neurological condition. A condition that would challenge his understanding of himself and the world around him. Tom was a creature of habit, a man who thrived on routine and predictability. Up at 6 a.m. sharp, coffee brewing by 6:05, emails checked and responded to by 6:15. This was his rhythm, his daily symphony. But one morning, as he brought the steaming mug to his lips, he noticed nothing. The familiar, comforting scent that always accompanied his morning ritual was conspicuously absent. The rich, robust aroma he loved, the one that always awakened his senses and prepared him for the day ahead, was just gone. He inhaled deeply, trying to coax the scent from the mug, but to no avail. He assumed it was a cold, a minor inconvenience, maybe just some sinus congestion, a temporary blockage that would clear up in a day or two. He didn't think much of it at the time, but days turned into weeks, and still, no sense of smell. The congestion didn't clear, the aromas didn't return. He tried everything he could think of, sniffing pungent spices, fragrant flowers, even strong cleaning solutions. Nothing. His doctor, initially unconcerned, eventually ran a battery of tests, blood work, scans, neurological exams, but everything came back normal. There were no obvious signs of infection, inflammation, or any other discernible cause. The onset of symptoms can be subtle, often so gradual that they're easily dismissed or attributed to something else. But for Tom, the initial signs began to emerge, painting a picture that would eventually lead to a life-altering diagnosis. First, there was a barely noticeable twitch in his right eye, a fleeting spasm that occurred whenever he glanced downwards. It was intermittent, easy to ignore, and easily passed off as fatigue or stress. But it was real, a subtle signal from a nervous system beginning to falter. Then came the second symptom, barely noticeable but real. His right eye twitched when he looked down. A few weeks later, he stumbled while turning on a staircase. It wasn't a dramatic fall, just a momentary loss of balance, a misstep that he quickly recovered from. But it was another piece of the puzzle, another indication that something was amiss. As time went on, the subtle signs became more pronounced, more difficult to ignore. Tom started having trouble reading small print, even with his glasses. Words seemed to blur, making it harder to focus and comprehend. His speech became slower, more deliberate, as if he were carefully choosing each word before uttering it. His wife, noticing these changes, also observed a slight tremor in his hands, a subtle shaking that was most evident when he was trying to perform fine motor tasks. These weren't the typical signs of aging. They were different, more persistent, and increasingly concerning. Recognizing that something was not right, Tom sought medical advice. After a series of initial consultations, Tom was referred to a neurologist, a specialist in disorders of the nervous system. The neurologist conducted a thorough physical exam, carefully assessing Tom's motor skills, reflexes, and cognitive function. The examination revealed subtle findings that might have been missed by a less experienced observer. Vertical gaze palsy, a difficulty in moving his eyes up and down, and slowed movements, a general slowness in his overall motor activity. These findings, while subtle, were significant clues that pointed towards a more serious underlying condition. To further investigate the cause of Tom's symptoms, the neurologist ordered an MRI of his brain. The results of the MRI provided crucial information, revealing mild midbrain atrophy, a shrinking of the midbrain, a critical area responsible for motor control and coordination. This finding strongly suggested Progressive Supranuclear Palsy, or PSP, a rare neurodegenerative disorder that affects movement, balance, and eye movements. PSP is often misdiagnosed as Parkinson's disease due to overlapping symptoms, highlighting the importance of careful evaluation and advanced imaging techniques for accurate diagnosis. The MRI results, combined with the clinical findings, led to the diagnosis that would forever change Tom's life. There's no cure for PSP. It progresses slowly, but relentlessly. But early diagnosis made a difference. Tom was able to plan ahead and make decisions with clarity. Tom's life changed. He started physical therapy, speech therapy. He also became an advocate, speaking at support groups. Most people tend to dismiss a lost sense of smell, often attributing it to a temporary cold or allergies. They might not realize the significance it could hold. But in Tom's case, it wasn't just a fleeting inconvenience. It was the first subtle sign of something deeper, something far more serious lurking beneath the surface. The human brain, in its intricate complexity, rarely gives us loud, blaring warnings when something is amiss. Instead of dramatic alarms, it often communicates through whispers, through subtle shifts and changes that are easy to overlook if we're not paying close attention. These whispers can manifest in various ways, from a persistent headache to unexplained fatigue, or, as in Tom's situation, a diminished sense of smell. Tom's story serves as a powerful reminder to us all that even the smallest, seemingly insignificant changes in our bodies and minds can matter immensely. It underscores the importance of being vigilant and proactive about our health, that paying close attention, even to something as seemingly trivial as a missing coffee aroma in the morning or a slight change in taste, could be the crucial clue that ultimately saves a life. It's about fostering a deeper connection with our bodies, learning to recognize its subtle cues, and trusting our intuition when something doesn't feel quite right. Don't ignore those whispers. Listen to them, investigate them, and seek professional guidance when needed. This has been the Curious Case Files, where we delve into the fascinating and often perplexing world of medical mysteries. We hope Tom's story has resonated with you and inspired you to be more mindful of your own health. Subscribe to our channel for more real stories of strange symptoms, unusual medical journeys, and rare diseases that challenge our understanding of the human body. We bring you these cases because they are true, meticulously researched, and while they are rare, they hold valuable lessons for us all. Remember, if you notice any persistent or concerning changes in your health, it's always best to speak to a qualified medical professional. Early detection and intervention can make all the difference.